Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Tanner Watt. I'm a municipal energy specialist with Local Authority Services, and I'm joined today by Matt Leonardini, Regional Account Manager for Canada with Gilbarco, and Adrian Rutherford, a marketing specialist with them. And we might have a couple others for their team join on towards the end for the Q&A. This is part of our Municipal Group Buying Program, which is we launched it in August, and it has two main goals. It's to help save time by allowing, instead of 444 municipalities running the same RFP 444 times, we run it once, and you're able to take advantage of that. And it helps save money as well through cross-Canada group buying power. So we're going to have Matt run through a quick presentation on their Gasboy system, and then we'll do a question and answer at the end to answer any questions that pop up during the presentation. For those attending with their computers, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A box. If you have any questions as you're going through, go in there and type those in, and then we'll go through them at the end. We are recording this, and we'll be sending out a link to you either this afternoon or tomorrow with a link to the video and a copy of the slide deck. So that was all that was on my list, so I will hand it off to Matt.
Good morning, and thank you, Tanner. Good morning, everybody. Am I coming through okay? Can everybody hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Leonardini. I am the Regional Account Manager for Gilbarco here in Canada. I'm located in Toronto. Our product is a global manufactured product made in Greensboro, North Carolina. We are a global manufacturer of fuel management systems and software. What we're going to go through today is a little bit about who Gilbarco Veeder-Root is and our commercial line of Gasboy products, and then really an overview of the fleet system itself. Many of your municipalities are already using some or all of our gear at this point through our Veeder-Root product, which is a tank gauge, and some of our dispensing equipment. So I'm going to go through kind of who we are, and then kind of overview of the system, and then why it's important to automate your fuel management for from accounting and reconciliation all the way through ease of use for the people that are doing the fueling at your sites. A little bit about us. Fortive is our parent company. Fortive is a $6.2 billion company located in the United States. We are in the sector for them known as transportation technology. So in that group are our retail solutions. Many of you are probably familiar with Esso and Suncor, where you fill up your car today. Most of that equipment in Canada is Gilbarco Veeder-Root equipment. In our commercial industrial space, which we're talking about today, we have a very, very big global footprint in municipal and private fleets. In our environmental, which is our tank gauging product, we do the measurement and reconciliation automatically through our tank gauging software and hardware. We do get into some remote and software capabilities as well. We invested a lot of money in that group from a fuel logistics and automating the fuel purchasing all the way through making sure that the life cycle of fuel is fully automated for you. And of course, we do have some GPS capabilities through our acquisition of Teletrac Navman. So it's a pretty robust platform, and our transportation technology footprint globally is pretty substantial. What we do for municipals and for private fleets is really help you with an end-to-end solution and provide, if you choose to do the full system, it's a fully automated, fully integrated fuel management solution. What we can do for the municipal markets in the front end is help the users, the actual people that do the fueling at your site, make it a very simple and safe process. All the way through the back end, where the folks that actually do the accounting of the fuel, it's one of the most important assets that municipals have. We can give you the ability to fully automate the reconciliation of every drop of fuel that you are delivered, all the way through your dispense and use through each asset. So it's a pretty comprehensive solution. It's a pretty comprehensive automated piece And for the folks that don't have an automated solution today, it's really it's an important part of the long-term process to get the municipal markets into a accounting capability that gives you a single point of contact, a single pane of glass to log in and see your entire fuel operation from your login credential. So it's pretty robust. This is an overview of what our system is. And what we do is a hardware set and a software solution. And we tie all of these things together, which allows us to give you a fully automated solution. And what we can do once we tie the equipment together is push that into a network and either a cloud-based application or a server-based application. We provide both, and it's really up to the end user which they're more comfortable with. But when we start from the bottom right-hand corner, your fuel storage tank, that we automate through our Veeder-Root equipment. That's a tank gauge. Many municipalities still to this day in Canada have their employees go out and put a dip in there. So they manually put a stick in the tank and read the fuel that way. It's such a archaic way of doing things, and it does lend to a lot of error, especially around the fuel reconciliation at the daily or weekly or monthly report. Just a few millimeters of fuel off is thousands of dollars in reconciliation errors. So through our tank gauging application, we can give you a delivery, a inventory, and an adjusted inventory based on the algorithms that our hardware and our probes and sensor technology has in place. So you're actually getting a fully automated reconciliation from the delivery through the daily activity of dispensing, and then at the adjusted delivery, it gives you that automated reconciliation report daily. And then it can be combined into a weekly and a monthly report so that your accounting folks have a very simple process. And it eliminates the paper trail and gets you really into a fully automated solution. What we do there, from the tank gauge, we tie that gauge into one of our control systems. So in this example here, we have a pedestal control. And really what that allows you to do is once you tie the inventory into the control system, now you have the ability to control and secure the fuel. So as we integrate the hardware sets, we're putting in mechanisms through the hardware application that allow you to control that fuel now. And once you have control of the fuel, you'll find that very little of that fuel goes missing or is unaccounted for once you have that control system tied to your tank in place. And so from our controller, we do feed into our dispensing application. So it's a very systematic, very standard application that we tie these devices together. So up into the dispense, that gives you the ability to see your fuel, control the fuel and who gets it. But then we take it a step further. And this is really the beauty of the hardware solution, is that if you truly want to lock up your fuel and only have it to go where it's supposed to go, into the assets that work for your particular group, you can upfit the vehicles with some of our hardware that allow that vehicle to then be identified through the system. You put the nozzle into the fill of that vehicle, whether it be a pickup truck, a tractor trailer, or some other device that's going to take fuel. And the technology is low frequency RFID technology, which really means that we're going to identify the vehicle through the nozzle. It's going to go back through into the control system and authorize through the database that that vehicle on this day is allowed to take this much fuel, and it begins the process. So what we look at from a solution set is it's really up to you what you're looking to do. If you want a fully automated, fully integrated solution, you would go all the way through into the asset and purchase the equipment that allows you to tag the asset into a database that is cross-referenced for every fueling transaction. That gives you the Cadillac or the high-end solution. This is a modular solution. So if you have a very small yard where you don't really need that type of solution set, you can go simply with a controller and build it out that way. So it's modular in nature, because we know that some yards and some municipalities are not as robust or significant as, say, the City of Vancouver. City of Vancouver out in British Columbia uses this full solution set. A smaller yard, something that's maybe one dispenser with a small, 5,000 liter tank, may not need the full application. That's the beauty of the design of it. You don't need to buy the whole thing. You can mix and match what works best for your particular situation. So from a solution set, we then take the hardware and the data for each of those transactions, whether it be a delivery of your storage tank or a fill into a asset. We're going to take those transactions and feed them up to our fleet head office software, which is a software that's designed to help manage the fleet and the assets and the users, as well as the data from a day-to-day perspective. So if you're in a situation today where you have no automation and you're basically doing everything with paper and pencil and trust, we would want to talk to you and show you a little bit more in depth how this application works. If you have a tank gauge but you have no control system and you want to really secure the fuel, we know that thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars go into these sites. And the fact that we can actually provide reports and feedback as to every drop being accounted for is actually a pretty darn good thing for the folks that pay taxes into the municipal network. If you have some automation but you don't feel it's robust enough, we want to talk to you. So I guess the ask here is, if this is something that you've been contemplating, or this is something that the office has been going back and forth, should we do this or not? We would want to just sit down with you and give you a one-on-one discussion of the benefits of it. And I can tell you from the folks that are using it today, the benefits are manyfold. It's ease of use, it's reconciliation and recovery of asset dollars when it comes to fuel and reconciling that fuel. It's also streamlines and makes more efficient the process of fueling, makes it safer. So those are just some of the touch points that we would elaborate on if you call us in. And with that, I'm open to questions. I know that there's probably a lot of questions about the system here, but I wanted to give you the basic overview of it, why it's important for you to use it and automate that delivery and dispensing application for your fuel, and then let you know, again, how to get a hold of us. So here are some benefits, simple to the fleet operators. Real-time information on the site, knowing what's going on is one of the most important things. Preventing fuel loss or misuse is another big driver for municipal fleets. Better control of not only the inventory, but the delivery. When do you need a delivery? For the folks that are dipping and manually managing the storage tanks, you don't need to do that anymore. You can actually either be notified that you need a delivery from the tank gauge, or you can network with your supplier so that they can actually get notification from the tank gauge that it's thirsty and it needs fuel. So those are just some of the efficiencies and some of the benefits for automating the fueling operation at your operation there. Obviously, we do a lot of work in the municipal market today, but these are just some of the areas that we touch that may open up some ideas for you. But certainly, we're not, these aren't the only applications that we use, but these are some of the most prominent ones that use our equipment today. In Canada specifically, we are deploying our full solution to the airport network. So we started off in Alberta, and we're going to work our way across to Halifax. From British Columbia to Halifax, they're going to be deploying that on the tarmac fleet. In the mining sector, we are doing quite a bit of work up in Fort McMurray, which is the oil patch for Canada, and deploying the full solution up there as well. And in places that you're familiar with, the City of Vancouver is our biggest customer, deploying the full system. But you may find in your own operations, you're already using part or pieces of our system, whether it's our tank gauge or our dispenser. It's just a matter of putting it all together and giving you that fully automated and fully integrated solution set to take you into the next decade of fuel management. We sell through our distributor network up here in Canada, and MI Petro is based in Alberta, Canada. They have offices here in Stouffville, Ontario, and they also have offices out in British Columbia. So Jim Yell is the Director of Business Development. This is his contact information. He has got a good relationship with the contract, as well as the folks that would do the installation and the selling of the equipment through his office. So he and his sales team would be happy to meet with you and I as well at any time that you're interested in talking more about the actual solution set. This is my contact information, which is here on the webinar, but again, this is the information here. I'm based in Toronto, so I can be anywhere in Ontario in a drive pretty quickly. Resources for you to kind of go deeper on your own if you wish are these links to the Gasboy products, as well as we have a screencast channel, which is a snippet of videos that go anywhere from 30 seconds to 90 seconds that give you a sense of how the software works and how it makes the environment internal to running a municipality much more efficient and easy to do. So if you want to get a little bit more ahead of me before I come out and talk with you, you can use those two resources there to get a head start, and then we can really lock in on what's important to you when we do sit down and do a thorough presentation in the future here. With that, I want it to be short and sweet and efficient. So that's all I had at the moment, but I'm happy to take questions. Tanner, if you want to go ahead and read them out, or whatever, however you feel, I'll hand it back to you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So we've got a few people that have joined in by phone. If you do want to ask a question, if you press *9, that'll raise your hand, and then I'll be able to turn on the mic when we're ready for you. We've got one question already. It says, on the pedestal, can we tie in our current security fob for staff to scan as an identification?
That's a great question. So we are able to dual source and utilize multiple technologies that are already in place with a caveat. We just have to test that technology. So we currently, through our customer Cisco, use what's called HID, building access and gate access cards. So HID is a company that produces tags and building access. So if that technology is an HID technology, which you can identify on the tag itself, then we're fully ready to go with that. We do want to test that equipment in our lab in Greensboro before we go down the road, just to validate that it's got the right strings of information inside and embedded in it. But yes, we can dual source like that.
Okay, great. So the next one that came in is, what about a mixed environment where some purchases are retail and some internal? Can the retail purchases be captured in the software?
So great question there. In the retail sector, we do not do chip and pin technology today. That is being developed, but we can do a full non-retail transaction. You have the ability to do invoicing and accounting through the software, so that you could actually track customer usage and then bill them and invoice them back. So I don't want to say we can't do that, but there's ways around non-EMV and non-chip and pin technology today that our customers use for particular card locks. And I'd be happy to have a deeper conversation on that if you want to give me a shout after the meeting.
Great. So we've got another question up. Before we get to that, though, I just wanted to remind everybody we're going to be doing these webinars roughly every 2 weeks, usually Wednesday mornings like this. The next one is scheduled for January 29th, and it's with ATS Traffic Supplies. The event isn't live on our website yet, but it will be probably by this afternoon. So you go to the LAS website, click on the events page, and that'll have all of our upcoming webinars on there. So the next question is, do you have to use HID tags for the user, or can you use IDs and passwords on the keypad?
Another great question. Absolutely, you can do manual key entry. You can utilize your own HID tags. You can utilize our tags, our manufactured tags. You can do either or all at the same time. So if you're onboarding new people that don't have a tag yet, they can key in a driver pin. You can do single authorization, dual authorization. So you can tag put a driver and an odometer reading. You can do a driver and some other kind of identifier, whether it's the vehicle. You can do that at the pedestal itself. If you fully automate, your drivers don't have to do anything because you're tagging the asset, and you're really fundamentally trying to track the fuel and where it's going. You would want to track what asset is getting what amount of fuel by type. So that again is, you can eliminate those human interactions if you choose to. If you really want them to engage at that pedestal, then of course, yes, you can do a manual entry. You can do a combination of a tag and a manual entry. All of that is available.
Okay, I think this one's related to that last question, but we'll go through it just to be sure. If we don't go to RFID, but say a password per vehicle, can additional info be recorded, such as mileage per vehicle?
That's correct. So again, you can do a manual entry of odometer. That's absolutely what most folks do when they do a dual authorization. They want to try to find a way to track how many vehicles are on that. And to take it a step further, we can integrate to maintenance software packages. So if you look at the slide that's up on the screen now, and you go to the front of that truck, we put in there what's called a data unit. We can actually feed all of the protocol information off of an asset, whether it's a pickup truck, a sedan, or a box truck, or some kind of dump truck, plow. So think about that for a second. Now, if that vehicle pulls up for fuel, it's going to automatically download all of the computer data into our pedestal and push it up to a software, either in the cloud or on your server. That then can be turned into a consumable file for your maintenance groups to do PMIs, to do all kinds of maintenance and repair based on the information coming off the asset automatically as it pulls into the yard. So those are some of the innovations that we can bring from a fleet management perspective. It's not just fuel, it's asset management, and it's about preventative maintenance programs and things that we can take from a simple fueling transaction. We can really build a robust application so that it's not just the accountant people, it's not just the operators, it's your maintenance groups and your decision makers that have really good data on the assets and the fuel. So we tie all of that together when we do the full solution.
All right, so next one, can the delivery supplier enter the fuel delivery information, quantity and cost, when they're filling the tank?
So if you're using a Veeder-Root tank gauge today, we're tracking the actual delivery into the tank automatically. If we tie that gauge into the control system, that is all automated and captured. Now the BOL, which is what the delivery man leaves behind, is it says 10,000 liters. Well, the Veeder-Root is going to really measure how much went in there. So if the truck's on an incline or a decline, you may be short. And that's part of the fuel audit trail, right? Folks that have to account for deliveries, it's an important step in the process. Well, yes, we can automate that. And the driver is not going to have the ability to key in the delivery because the gauge is going to capture that. And then you can utilize his bill of lading and do an audit against the Veeder-Root gauge. So our algorithms on our Veeder-Root application are going to measure to the 1,000th of a milliliter. And so it's a pretty darn accurate height number that you're going to get from the Veeder-Root, whereas on a typical bill of lading, they're going to give you a round number of liters. So if you really want to get into fuel audits, utilizing our technology, we can give you a very precise number by delivery that you can then go back and look at each of the bill of ladings and run reports and results on that. That's what a lot of our folks in the accounting groups of our municipalities, that's what they do. They really want to hone in on their delivery providers and make sure that what they're delivering and what they say they're delivering is accurate to the gauge. Hope that answered the question.
Great. So the next one is, are you affiliated with a tank supplier?
Good question. We do not supply or manufacture tanks, but we have a network of vendors that we can recommend to you that can do that. So we are not affiliated or making tanks, but we have relationships with tank manufacturers that we can supply to you.
Okay. And what is the process to obtaining pricing information?
Great question. Jim Yell, this gentleman here, he can be contacted. You can set up a request for a quote with him. What we really recommend is before we do any kind of quoting, is just a quick site visit so that we understand the logistics of that site and make sure that we have everything that we need to run the equipment there from a power perspective and a network perspective. But this is the individual here who will, as a director of business development, send one of his team to you to get quotes and to do site visits and to do more in-depth presentations. So this is the individual right here that you'd want to contact for that and set those meetings and visits up with.
All right, so I don't see any other questions coming in. So I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll hang around for a few minutes just in case any other questions pop up. But for everybody who joined us, thank you very much for taking the time out of your morning, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.